Welcome to the first edition of the 2024 Campfire, and we are starting off by analyzing the private school ranks in our Randall's film session. Let's start in the SPC, where the defending state champions from Bel Air Episcopal will be replacing key components on the field and on the sidelines. Longtime head coach Steve Lease announced his retirement after 5 state titles and 129 victories as the Knights' head man. On the field, Episcopal has to replace star quarterback Carson Gordon and Defensive Player of the Year Ty Blevins. Not easy to do, but they will have running back Brandon Thomas back in the fold, so they should be challenging for another championship. Kincaid finishes the state runner-up, and starting quarterback Jordan Capobianco returns along with his favorite target, Jordan Manuel. Kincaid should be a favorite for that state title game again. St. John's is another team to look out for in SPC. They finished in a 3-way tie for first place in their conference and returned touchdown machine Cole Allen, who had 31 last year. Also, Malachi Booker, the freshman sensation on the Maverick basketball team, is a scary defensive lineman for St. John's as well. In TAPS, St. Thomas made it to the state title game before running into the juggernaut that is Parish Episcopal. The Cardinals lost some serious stars on offense, including the best statistical running back they've ever had in Johan Cardenas, who will attend Vanderbilt in the fall. Quarterback Dante Lewis graduated as well, so that's another position St. Thomas will need to fill. But one thing is for sure, with a Rich McGuire coach team, their offense will always come together.
The film session is brought to you by Randall's. Find these great items on the Chevrolet Inside High School Sports End Cap and take your shopping game to the next level. Chevrolet Inside High School Sports is brought to you by the Houston area Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
For an even deeper look at the private schools, here's producer Ward Fasold and the Houston Chronicle's John Poorman with the District Breakdown.
All right, it's District Breakdown time, and once again, we're joined by my main guy, John Poorman from the Houston Chronicle. He's always with us. He's with us during the season. He's with us off the season. He's just with us. He's part of us, and I appreciate that, John. Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Let's talk TAPS. I know we got 4 months before we even start anything, but let's start with the private schools and talk TAPS first because, St. Thomas, they had that great season. They made it to the state title game. They, of course, ran into that buzzsaw that never seems to lose there in Parish Episcopal, but they got some replacing to do because they're going to miss out on Cardenas. The quarterback's gone as well. Talk about that team and maybe somebody else that may stick out in TAPS this year.
Yeah, St. Thomas had a great run this past season, as you mentioned, making it to the state championship game and coming up just short. But man, what an incredible run for the Eagles. They've been kind of on the precipice of breaking through to the state championship, and they finally made it there this past season. A lot of that had to do with the play of quarterback Dante Lewis. As you mentioned, he is departing. He's going to go play baseball at Kansas State. He's an incredible dual threat athlete. Dual sport athlete, sorry. And, so they're definitely going to miss him. And Johan Cardenas, our All Greater Houston Private School Offensive Player of the Year, is going to play football at Vanderbilt. So those are two key pieces of this, championship team, this team that made a run to the championship that are gone now. Episcopal, kind of like St. Thomas, always finds a way to be really competitive in the SPC. They have a great track record. And they return a really talented running back in Brandon Thomas, who had 30 total touchdowns last year. So I would expect for them to be in the mix.
I appreciate you joining us, and I will see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
We'll post the entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now let's take a look at some game changers and our players on the rise. The best quarterback in the private school ranks could be Braxton Byes of St. Pius X. The senior is a pro-style signal caller who has an eye for the deep ball. As a junior, he was second-team All-District and honorable mention All-State. Byes threw for 1,300 yards and 14 touchdowns for the Panthers and is hoping to lead them to a deeper playoff run in 2024. Another big-time returning quarterback in TAPS is Cannon Toon of Second Baptist. As a sophomore, the dual threat was first-team All-District as the Eagles signal caller. Toon has a cannon of an arm that helped him connect on several deep balls throughout the season. He also has good pocket presence and knows when a play needs to be abandoned, as Cannon can use his legs to pick up big gains. Brandon Thomas transferred to Bel Air Episcopal from Houston Lamar last year and made an instant impact. Thomas finished with 1,200 all-purpose yards and scored 30 touchdowns for the SPC state champions. In the final, Thomas ran for 285 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 42-35 win over Kincaid. With Carson Gordon graduated from the quarterback position, more will be expected from the talented running back. At Fort Bend Christian Academy, Max Granville is a sack machine for the Eagles. 2 years ago, as a sophomore, Granville just destroyed his opponents with 112 tackles and 20.5 sacks. Not surprisingly, when Granville was a junior, the play calls went to where he wasn't. However, he still wound up with 12 sacks and 3 forced fumbles and returned 1 for a score. Max has quite a few scholarship offers, including Texas A&M, USC, and Penn State. Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Do you or your student want a career training the world's best athletes? Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today. Our Ward Fasol caught up to St. Thomas head coach Rich McGuire to talk about his Cardinals in our Media Day segment.
All right, welcome to Media Day. We are joined with St. Thomas head coach Rich McGuire. Coach, before we get into the year that's going to begin in about 4 months, let's look back at last year. Man, that was a heck of a run all the way to that championship game. You gave Paris Episcopal all they could handle. Just talk about how that game was, or not the game, but how the season was for you, and how you felt, where you felt you guys were strong at, and kept persevering throughout that whole season, undefeated until you got to that last game.
Oh, I mean, you think about the offensive weapons we had, with Johan and Dante and Luke and Larry and Blaze, and a good 3 seniors up front on the offensive line. It was a good group offensively, and defensively we kind of got better as the season went on. By the end of the year, we were pretty good defense. So I mean, a bunch of seniors, that were really buying into what we wanted to do and had bought in for a long time and done a lot of work to get there. And they were excited. Again, you run off 12 wins in a row, it gets everybody kind of excited.
Yeah, it's probably been about 4 or 5 months since that championship game, and I know very emotional ending there, especially for players like Johan, some of the seniors that you were talking about. Have you had a chance in those last couple of months to kind of, you're never going to forget their impact, but look forward to what you're going to have this coming season? And do you think you'll have that kind of dynamic offense where you scored 70 points a couple of times this last year and 60 another time? And I don't even want to bring up the Prestonwood game because you gave the scoreboard keeper carpal tunnel or something like that, the way he's pushing them buttons. But do you have that kind of offense? You feel like you might have that coming back for 2024?
Oh, we graduated so much. It's going to be, first of all, I've been telling everybody that I think as a football coach, you realize you get probably one Johan Cardenas in a career. I got to keep telling myself that running backs don't have to be 6 foot tall, 215 pounds, and run a 4.4. You can get by with smaller running backs or slower running backs, but so I mean it's going to be hard to replace all that production. But offense has rarely been a problem for us at St. Thomas.
Excellent. All right. Well, good luck, Coach. I appreciate you jumping on with me way early in the off season, but that's how we do things here in Texas. You gotta talk about it 24/7. So I appreciate you joining with us, Coach.
You bet. Thanks for it. Appreciate it.
You can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. That's going to do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we talk lower classifications in the UIL. Until then, have a great week, everybody.